when you see like a fight in a movie, right, or a show, it's like very like dramatic and the boom but when real people are fighting, it's like cats fighting with each other. They're just kind of like pawing at each other.
It's not choreographed.
No, not at all.
There's always one move that like, that person's embarrassed. Because they kind of like did like a weird flick with their wrist. Well, or they made like that noise. Welcome to Brief Recess. I'm Michael Foote.
I'm Mélissa Malebranche.
Today we're going to talk about the Knicks won and NYC went straight to jail. Things that make us cry, Haiti in the World Cup, and in the customs line at the airport. The UFC fight on the front lawn of the White House.
We're doomed.
Secret Situation Room recording regarding the Epstein Files. Whoops, wasn't me. We have an interview with NY-12 District Congressional candidate Laura Dunn, and we're going to answer all your questions from the DMs and read all the wild reviews you leave. So stick around. Every time I eat a croissant, it's Russian roulette on where the crumbs are going to go.
Well, I would tell you if you had.
I know you would, but you're not always around.
I'm not always, unfortunately for you. How are you, friend? How you been?
I don't know if you heard, but the Knicks won.
No.
I don't know.
Are you sure?
I don't know if you saw the 63 people who got arrested and the 10 people who got shot and the guy who was standing on a bus railing lines, blowing lines.
Was it your neighbor, Chris? Just hoovering up the coke. He was so excited.
I don't know if you saw this town painted blue and orange.
So I will tell you, my brother, lost his fucking mind.
I'm sure.
I have a clip. I've asked him for permission to show it. He said yes. Let's go! He looks crazy. I have never seen him this way. And his feeling is that, born and bred New Yorker, none of his teams ever win. He's a big Mets fan, a big Knicks fan, and they never win. So this So the baby's all outfitted in Nick stuff.
And for the straight people who are always like, I don't get why you guys need a pride parade. DM me from that parade on Thursday when this episode drops, because that's your straight pride parade. Okay, that's what you get. And it's so important to straight people, this Knicks thing. And I'm going to prove it to you really quick. CJ, how many years has it been?
53 goddamn years.
Thank you. That's how important it is for straight people. They know.
They do.
Marsha P. Johnson. That's what I know. And 53 years is what they know. This is their pride month.
I mean, as somebody who is not a sporty person, even though I sit
in
here,
World Cup, she's in my
Haitian World Cup jersey. But I was, like I told Michael, I was away with some friends over the weekend. I was scrapbooking, and there was a bar in our hotel, and we went down, and I watched the last 15 minutes, and it was very exciting.
Yes,
it was exciting, and I'm very happy for the people who are happy, like my brother and CJ, who told us that he collapsed on the floor in his living room and cried.
Was planking in his own home.
My wife thought they lost because I was crying.
Wait, CJ, are you like a crier? Do you cry often?
Only when my team hasn't won for 15 years.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. Because some people are like criers. They'll cry no matter, like, all the time. Brad cried when Pikachu left Ash, and that was it. And then I
know what that means.
Yeah, it's a Pokemon thing.
Oh, okay.
When he was a kid, he cried when Pikachu left Ash.
Okay, he was a child.
And that was it.
What do you mean?
It's like hasn't been since.
He hasn't cried since?
I think maybe when his grandparents died. And he's not a crier.
Are you a crier?
Oh my God. All the time.
All the time?
For just no reason sometimes.
Okay.
And I love it. I really am like.
No. It's fine. I definitely
You're not a crier?
Cry as much as I used to.
Yeah. When I'm upset or frustrated or excited or happy, it's just like how my body expresses an intense emotion.
Okay.
So like I'll be crying because I'm just like, this is the coolest thing ever. Not because of any distress. So people oftentimes misinterpret my tears as like, this person's not okay.
I'm trying to remember. Like, yeah, I do cry, but I don't feel like I cry all the time. However, the other day.
I'm trying to think of a time when I saw you cry.
Oh, no, you came to my dad's wake. I was crying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I've cried.
Yeah, not really.
I've stuffed the feelings down.
She was raised Catholic.
Yeah. I'm Catholic. I'm Haitian. I stuff the feelings down. That's what it is.
Let's get into a sidebar on grief. Please proceed.
This is not grief, though. The other day, so Haiti has not been in the World Cup since 1973, I think. And again, I don't really care about sports, but I care about this. This is about pride points.
You care about Haiti.
Oh, for sure. And we need this. we need some good. Okay. And this is like a very good thing. And I also know if my dad was alive, he would lose his mind, right?
All right? So I'll root for Haiti.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so the other day they were playing Scotland and I got weepy when they were playing the national anthem, the Haitian national anthem, which I had practiced and now I know. And it's hard.
It's hard.
It's my French is not that.
It's very French.
My French is not that good.
I imagine it's in French.
It's in French.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably in French.
It's in French. There is also a Creole version. And when I was saying to my mom, I'm like, I don't know this. And she was like annoyed with me. She's like, why don't you know it? And I'm like, did you teach it to me?
Well, why didn't you teach it to me, Mom?
I know the Pledge of Allegiance in America. But I didn't know. So she was annoyed with me. But now I know it.
My mom is always horrified if I tell her that I got like a parking ticket and didn't pay it immediately.
Oh, I always forget to pay my parking tickets and they come knocking on my door. They send me, and I keep on saying, oh, I have to remember to pay it. And then I put it to the side.
It's a bright orange envelope.
Well, that's when I really pay. I'm like, oh, wait, the orange envelope is here.
I'm always like, how bad does it have to get in New York City for them to come drag me away, tar and feather me?
They've reached out to me. Hey, Mélissa, we know they say things like, we know sometimes we get busy.
Hey, girl, you up?
What are you doing?
I had a neighbor in my old building.
Chris?
Downstairs from Chris was this hilarious Polish woman who, I won't say her name, but it's like a very Polish name.
Magda.
Yeah,
not
Magda,
her real name.
Yeah. It's actually kind of close to Magda.
Is it?
Yeah. But this is someone, did I tell you her cat was like attacking people?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember this. Oh my God.
I don't know if we told this story on the show, but basically there was this other older woman and her home health aide. I ran into her on the street and I was like, how you doing? And she was like, oh, I don't go to that building anymore because Magda's cat attacked me. And she lifted up her skirt on the street and her legs, it looked like Freddy Krueger.
Gouge marks in her legs.
It was shaping her legs. So anyway, the people came and booted Magda's car once right in front of the building. And I asked her, I was like, wow, they booted your car. She's like, yeah, they do it if you have over $500 in parking tickets.
Okay, I've never gotten there.
I was like, damn, girl.
CJ
raised his hand. Wow.
Really? Are you forgetting or?
I was in college in the Bronx.
Okay.
Oh, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
My car actually got towed and I thought it got stolen.
If someone tows my car, I'm like, keep it.
No, you wouldn't do that.
I would be like, I'm going to leave it there for a couple weeks so I don't get parking tickets, and then I'd go back.
Yeah, but they charge you per day.
Do they?
Yes.
Is it more than the ticket?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Never mind. I'm going to go get it. But knock wood, they don't tow it. Have you?
What's your problem?
I was going to ask you. Have you been through customs recently? Because I just went through customs. I just flew back into the country because there was a plane full of Haitians. Yes. I texted you.
Michael texted me about this.
A plane full of Haitians got off right in front of me in the customs line. And I don't have global entry.
You don't?
Everyone's on me. I get that answer all the time. Everyone's on me about it.
I just got it. I'm not being superior. I'm surprised you don't have it.
I don't have it because I don't want to go to the airport for that extra interview.
Michael, I did it. And I also felt the same way. 2 minutes.
But to get to the airport?
It was a pain in the ass.
See?
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And nothing good ever happens at LaGuardia.
And people, thank you.
It's true.
And people are like, oh, you could do it when you're flying back in.
Yeah, you can.
when I'm flying back in.
No, you just want to go home.
I feel like.
No, I hear you.
I feel like
who did it and
I got run over by the Knicks parade. So who did it and ran?
Just ridden hard and put away wet.
I'm looking like who did it and ran. It's 40 miles of rough highway. So,
what were the Haitians like?
So by the time, I honestly don't feel like I'm allowed to say what the Haitians were like in line, but I will imagine. But I will say by the time I got to the customs guy, he said, he looked at me, I'm not kidding. He said, I'm going on break after this. He said, you are my last person.
Okay.
And he said, do you have anything in your bags that you need to declare? And I said, no.
No.
He said, go.
Leave here immediately.
He did not look at my passport, which I was like, doesn't someone need to know I'm back in the country?
No
like, don't
cares.
they? I'm like an immigration lawyer and I'm thinking, have I ever had a client who never got stamped? Like that just happened to me. Never got the Customs and Border Protection never documented me returning to the...
I'm going to tell you, and I love my people. I do. I clearly...
You've been on a lot of flights back from Haiti.
Yes. And I get it. And dealing with Haitian people, I mean, being Haitian is not for the weak, right? Growing up in a Haitian household, nobody can hurt my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
My feelings cannot be hurt.
You can't hurt me.
So yeah, poor guy.
Oh, no.
He'll be okay, though.
Yeah. Let's get into what algorithm is showing. Did you see the people doing like wheelie motocross crossroads on the White House lawn?
No, I did not see that. But you know what I did see? I did see a couple of people come to blows.
Fisticuffs
on the white, and not the people in the cage.
No, this is not
the random people. And the thing about it is, like, I think when you see like a fight in a movie, right, or a show, it's like very like dramatic and the boom but when real people are fighting, it's like cats fighing with each other. They're just kind of like pawing at each other.
It's not choreographed.
No, not at all.
There's always one move that like, that person's embarrassed. Because they kind of like did like a weird flick with their wrist. Well, or they made like the noise.
Or like, I think it's really funny when real people are fighting and they're not fighting with like their fist out. It's more like
or the wife always comes up
and
from behind and is like, you stop it, and then, like hits them with a broom handle or something. There's always
or
some
this weird flick.
Like, so you better not. It's like, that's not going to stop them. No. They're rolling around on the ground. Oh my God. Yeah. So Trump spent $60 million on this fight on the lawn.
Trump didn't spend $60 million.
Right.
We spent $60 million on this.
My healthcare, my deductible went up so that he could have a UFC fight on his front lawn.
So, CJ, tell us again what you said, like what you're feeling of why he did this. It's like what?
It's like a 12-year-old boy got a wish from a genie and wanted to become president.
And he just wanted to have an MMA fight. And I'll bet you like a giant, probably like a giant Sam's Club cake with a really thick layer of frosting.
Yeah. You know those really long heroes we get? And they slice them. You take a slice of the Italian hero. It's like giant heroes on Long Island.
It's
so mortifying. It's so embarrassing.
Can we get lower than this? Like, how much lower can it get, right? Forget all the terrible policies that are coming through. Forget all of that.
Forget the Epstein Files.
Forget it. But this is just... At its core, it is like the trashiest. It's so fucking trashy.
Well, I was like, how are we going to literally distract from the New York Times Epstein Files? Like there was this huge article in New York Times Magazine last week.
Okay, you know what? And I missed it.
I read the whole thing.
How bad is it?
It is so bad. It's Maggie Haberman and It's so bad. It documents basically how the Trump administration, his cabinet of like 6-8 people, including JD Vance, used the Situation Room to figure out what to do last year. Remember, there was like the New York article. It was like his poem to Jeffrey Epstein. It was like his birthday card, and it was on the cover of the New Yorker.
Yes.
I think it was the New Yorker. Fact check me on that. But basically, when that came out last summer, everyone started talking about Epstein. It was so clear that Trump was very much involved in the Epstein Files, that there was a cover-up, that everyone was involved in the cover-up, that he was using the government to cover up what was in the files, and Pam Bondi was involved. And so his cabinet met in the Situation Room, the room for warfare, and met to discuss how they were going to handle this, whether they should get in front of the release of the files, whether they need to.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. The reason why they met in the Situation Room, where we talk about war, because I think that they believe that they are at war against the media. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, how are we going to strategize? How are we going to get in front of this? How can we make this go away?
How can we protect the president?
How do we protect this man?
What they were trying to do. And so the article was basically like, they fumbled it at every turn. Like there was no outcome from that meeting that was...
Michael, they fumble at every turn for everything. Nothing is going well.
But it got even more meta because including the meeting to talk about how to not fumble got fumbled because there might have been a recording of that meeting in the Situation Room. And everyone's talking about it.
Pete did it.
They're terrified that there's going to be a clip that gets dropped of them talking about what to do.
Yeah, I hope so.
So they're running around chickens with their heads cut off right now.
Jackass parade.
Today, while we're recording. So I'm like, I can't wait for that recording to drop. I'm going to eat it up. We're going to play it on this show.
Oh, yeah. How does this end?
Well, they're like, well, which part of the meeting is going to drop? Which means many parts of the meeting were a problem. They're trying to figure out what to do if which part of the meeting drops, which means there were multiple parts of the meeting that are really problematic.
Right. That they are worried about. Yeah. So we need to try and get in front of
they're doing
parts A through F, right?
Yeah, the plan A through F right now.
There's probably a recording of this meeting about what to do about the recording in the meeting.
Put that in, CJ.
Sometimes where are we? Where are we? What's happening? What did we do to deserve this?
A part of me is like, should I have just gone back on that plane with those Haitians?
Yeah.
Got turned around at Customs and Border Protection and just, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Get me to Port-au-Prince. Welcome back to Brief Recess. This is Under Oath, where we take a deep dive into a topic with a special guest.
And today we're really excited to welcome Laura Dunn. Laura is an award-winning civil rights attorney, a former educator, and a nationally recognized advocate for survivors. She played a key role in drafting and passing the 2013 Reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. She is a current member of the New York State Bar Association and is currently running for Congress to restore accountability, uphold the rule of law, and ensure government works for the people, not the powerful. Laura, thank you so much for coming.
Yay,
welcome to Brief Recess.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. This is a great group to have this discussion with.
We met actually last week during the Courier News event. There was a debate, and I got to moderate it along with a group of other, political influencers. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I got to meet you. It was great. Aww. What did you think of that event?
I was very happy to be on stage. I'm sure some of you know there was 3 debates for NY-12. I was actually robbed of the stage the first time. I hit 5% in the largest poll. That's the requirement. And then the news agency decided to run their own poll that was a fraction of the size. And they disqualified me, didn't invite me on. I know.
We hate that.
And when I looked up who owned them, I was not surprised to see 4 private equity companies, including BlackRock. So
yikes.
Here we are.
I mean, private equity is ruining everything. Yeah. Everything they touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
So this was like one of the few debates you actually got to be a part of.
Yes.
Which is so messed up.
It is.
Because let me tell you, she ate them up. Laura gobbled them up, and it was fierce.
Yes.
And I was like, I got to get Laura on the show because she really did. Like, you were incredible. So I just had fun listening to you because you really it's tale as old as time, right? Like there was like the Nepo baby, it was like the white men got their big pitch and their moment. And you had the actual substance and credentials and the resume, and you were polished and brilliant and were saying all the right things that everyone really needed to hear. But then, of course, weren't included in many of the debates.
Well, and that's why, because no one owns me. And that's the challenge in this race, right? We have super PACs behind two of the candidates who are very part of the establishment. Michael Bloomberg's backing Michael Lasher. He's a billionaire. He controls a lot of the media in New York City. We also have Alex Borez, who used to work for Palantir, hugely problematic, made his fortune off working for that company during all the issues with ICE during the Trump administration, actually cashed out to live in the house he is in now. And he says he's a champion, but he's taking money from Anthropic. So it kind of feels like he's just switching AI lords and signing us up for a different program. And it's really hard when you see what's going on and you know the voters don't. And that's why I was so wound up for that debate. I'm like, if I only get one, I'm going to make it count.
And it sounds like you did.
Yeah. Hopefully.
How many people are in the race?
8 total. So people have been very frustrated because people were in and out of this race from the beginning. And it was really also part of the challenge that people came in, soaked up a lot of media attention, and then just dropped out of nowhere. People who actually fundraised really well, over $1 million, dropped out of nowhere. And it's because they were frustrated with the rigging of the system. It was very clear who was going to be endorsed by all the Democratic clubs. It was very clear that that was going to create lots of problems down the line for field operations. And what I always try to point out to people is when they're frustrated, like, why didn't you raise more money? Why weren't you on every stage? I'm like, I didn't give up. I'm right here. And if that's what you want from someone in Congress who gives up and tosses in the towel, like that's why you have the leaders you have. If you want someone who fights no matter what they're given, then you want to pick me when you go into the ballot.
I also feel like in New York, we're always talking about how progressive New York is, right? But I think when these races come around, we really realize how antiquated a lot of our systems are, how, we really are going to be a reflection of the rest of the country. Many times, like, sure, we may be very socially progressive, but at the end of the day, I think what we're seeing in the New York 12 race right now is that the deepest pockets are the ones that are going the furthest in the polls, right?
Yeah, and it's been really frustrating. So there's, all these groups that target certain types of political candidates, right? There's the women's groups, the queer groups, the union groups. And I will say all the women's groups donated to men, all the LGBTQ groups, donated to cisgender men. And there's 2 queer women in this race, which is like really, we were livid, when we went into our own community and we were turned away. And of course, the unions picked people who have never been union members. I've been a teacher. I was part of United Teachers of New Orleans, and that means I was in post-Katrina New Orleans. The first year the schools reopened, working alongside a bunch of teachers who have been disenfranchised for 3 years while the government figured out what to do. And we marched together and we fought for what was right for our kids. And when I taught on Chicago's North Side, which was largely immigrant and refugee, I was at a public charter, and it was deeply problematic in the way it was engaging with some of the teachers who were highly qualified and female and weren't getting promoted. And underqualified men were. So we unionized, and I fought the administration. So when you come in with these credentials of, I've actually fought for LGBTQ plus rights through Title IX cases, I've actually fought for women's rights, and then they're like, sorry, it's not your turn. Like, what is this turn thing? Like, isn't it the best leader? That's what I thought it was.
Let me ask you this. You said something interesting that you went to the queer groups and you went to the groups for women and they supported the men and the cisgendered men. Why do you think that is? What do you think? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but tell me why you think that is.
It's a few different things. Like I think career politicians are the worst leaders in the entire world because they've never done anything real, right? They've never started a business. They've never been at a school. Like they don't have real world experience. They're in a little bubble and they're raised up to be exactly who above them wanted them to be. And so they're just kind of parroting the system. But when you run, people are like, well, we didn't see you. You weren't part of these clubs. You weren't yet a lawmaker. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't want to be. I was in a courtroom. I was getting a legal education. I was working on my executive MBA at NYU Stern. Like I was building these life experiences that helped me see from a better perspective than most of the people. But these are two men that got in line a long time ago. Numerous people were like, I watched them grow up and this is kind of what they were raised for. And it's so painful when people walk up and say, I want a woman leader, like run again. It's like you keep getting women leaders. Like look at District 3. We just had a special election there. That's the quote unquote gay district in your Hell's Kitchen. And there's 3 amazing women and then one guy, and he won by a landslide, even though Mom Donnie even endorsed one of the women. And it was kind of eye-opening to me because I had heard more from the Hell's Kitchen Dems that they wanted women leaders than anywhere else. But they were like, oh, he was loyal. He's been here the longest. It's like, if you're only going to vote for the people that you see the most and you want everyone to get in line, that's fine. Say so. Say that this is the requirement for you to have office. But if you're going to be open to other types of leaders, give people credit for being in courtrooms like I was, already working on the Hill, which no one else in this race did. Like you have to have open credentials to have more variety of leaders.
And it's like that meme of Carrie Bradshaw where it's like, you say you want complicated female characters, but you couldn't handle her. Like you couldn't just handle Carrie Bradshaw or Lena Dunham's character and girls, and people couldn't handle it. And everyone's like, we want complex female leads. And it's like, you literally are still hung up on Big and Carrie. Like it's been 20 years.
Right. Yeah.
But I want to talk about, Epstein has been in the news a lot, and you have talked a lot about sexual violence in your campaign. So I wanted to bring you on the show, and I know you've been a civil rights attorney for a long time before your run. So I just wanted to talk about that, your hopes for New York 12, how these issues are really important to you and why, if you want to take it from there.
Sure. Yeah. So I call myself the accountability candidate. My platform is very clear that I want term limits. That's both for Congress and the Supreme Court. I want to end insider trading. No more making millions off of public office. Ethical standards for the Supreme Court, because we know it's politically corrupt right now. But to your point, there's all this other corruption, right? I try to keep everything in threes because we're litigators. People need threes.
We do the rule of threes in court.
Exactly. But Epstein, that scandal just really breaks my heart. I'm very public about being a campus sexual assault survivor. That's actually how I found my way into politics. I never wanted this path, but this was the right path to make change. So when I experienced sexual violence, I turned around, shared my name, face story at a time when everyone was still Jane Doe. And that allowed me this amazing platform that got the attention of President Obama. And I advocated in Congress in both Republican and Democrat offices for 2 years as a law student, sharing my rape story over and over and over to pass the 2013 Violence Against Women Act. It took everything I had. I remember I once hunted down Senator Al Franken. He was ignoring our requests. He was not being supportive. He was part of the Senate Judiciary. I found him on the stairwell and just called out to him in front of a group of 30 people and confronted him and was like, you have ignored this bill. So it really, required me to step up. And that's why I know federal law and policy is so important. And I also know what it takes. So when you look at the Epstein files, that happened in NY-12. And none of the men are talking about that. And that should signal everything for one of the biggest scandals that shows that there's foreign influence, foreign money, and really obviously despicable crimes and horrors that were being committed. And yet it's not on anyone's radar. That's the Epstein class. Filtering money and picking your candidate for them. I know both myself and the other women in this race, like we would not tolerate this. We are from the communities that have been harmed by gender violence. We're not going to stand it. And I'm very honored that Epstein survivors have been there when I put the petitions to get on the ballot in. They were there hugging me and saying we need a survivor. So I want to be let loose on Congress. I want to tear it up. I want to call these names out. I really admire all the people who have been listing the names of the perpetrators that are in these files, but it's not enough. We have to rebuild the DOJ and we have to make a commitment because it will show us exactly what's been happening to our elections. I don't think Donald Trump won by accident. I think he won byung, and we'll know more when we get into the Epstein files about where the money's coming from, who is behind these plans.
Oh my God.
Gosh, that's, I always more and more I ask myself, how did we get here? Why are we in this space? Why are the lives of women and children and victims of sexual assault not taken seriously? They're not important, but we love our guns, right. And it just seems to me that that's happening more and more. And it feels like it's getting worse. And it's harder and harder for me personally to, I want to remain engaged. But sometimes it feels like too much.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot. It feels like a lot. But I also know that if I don't remain engaged, then it's never going to change, which is why we have people like you. But yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah. It's frustrating. And it must be really frustrating for you to be in this position. You're running for office and you're listening to all these stories and you're getting these sort of roadblocks because you're not a part of the Old Boys Network? The system. Yeah.
Well, the good news is I've never been part of the system, so I'm actually kind of used to it. And I think it helps bring out the true nature of who I am and why I fight.
Yeah.
So no matter the outcome of this particular race, I'm obviously fighting to the end. I hit 5%, 30% are undecided. It's a race literally anyone could win.
Yeah.
But no matter what happens, I know who I am and I've grounded in that. And it's gained a lot of respect on the ground. So people who may be looking at the men saying they have a leg up, they know that I'm right behind them. So I don't think it's over. But to your point about being overwhelmed, I guess one of the weirder parts of my platform that I've talked about is being pro-psychedelics. And why that topic? It's because it focuses on healing. So there is so much unwellness in our society.
Yes.
We have lived through COVID. Yes. We have had political unrest.
We talk about this all the time. How we are not over COVID,
We're not.
y'all.
No.
We just went right back to work. We picked up that dusty pen off the desk where we left it 2 years earlier. We plugged the computer back in. And I know someone, they left their laptop charger at the office and just went back and just plugged their laptop back in a year later.
Wow.
And we have not, and we've just not looked back.
Not talked about it.
Not talked about it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very traumatic experience. And I don't think that we've given it the gravitas that it deserves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because especially when you think back in the very beginning, for me anyway, I was convinced we were all going to die, right? I was convinced that we were living The Stand by Stephen King. That's what I felt like was going to happen. I was worried about everybody. And I was afraid. And I don't think that any of us really sat back to really reflect on what we went through. And like Michael said, we just sort of went back to work. I went back to work and my calendar was still on from March of 2020. Yeah. And I went back in 2022 and I was just like, well,
should we flip?
I'm going to throw the calendar away.
I love psychedelics. And I talk about this on the show all the time. I, post-pandemic, had a really hard time going back to work, going back to the courtroom, going back to walking down the street and seeing other people's faces. It really was emotionally difficult for me. And Mélissa was there for me through and through the whole time. But I went to ketamine therapy.
Yeah.
And my insurance paid for it. It was a full, above board experience. I wasn't in a warehouse in Bushwick, but it really helped me. It really helped me get to a place where I could do things like launch a podcast or, get out there on social media. I wouldn't have been able to do it without that. It was so healing.
I really admire that you're talking about that. People need to know that this is available to them and certain types are legal. I have done the more not so legal types, MDMA to heal from PTSD and psilocybin. And now I do kombu, which is totally legal. It's an Amazon frog poison.
Cool.
Yeah. It makes you violently ill. So not super cool, but for 20 minutes you're purging. And then afterwards people have visions. I have not had the benefit of those visions, but it definitely physically clears the vessel.
Wow. I've never heard of this.
This is so fat. Again, Michael and I talk about this all the time. I grew up in a household where, my mother equated marijuana to crack cocaine, right?
Wow. So it was the same.
It was the same. It was the same. It was the same. And so this idea that you could use psychedelics as a means of healing from trauma
is
it's so it's weird to me because I can't imagine it. And I will admit, I'm also, I think, a little bit afraid of what am I going to remember? What am I going to discover?
When I tell people I've done ketamine therapy, that is the thing. The number one thing they say to me is, I'm afraid of what I'm going to learn about myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is honestly the only resistance people tell me when I'm like, oh, you should try it. I only had positive experiences. I cried a lot, but like, it was a healing, interesting journey. And what they say to me is, I'm afraid of how it will change my life, whether they'll learn that their relationship with someone is wrong for them or their job or dynamic that they're in. They're afraid of facing the change is what I notice when I talk to people.
Well, that's even happening right now, right? People want to go back to what was, and it can't happen. You have to be bold and brave and realize that there's something new and it actually could be better. And that's the best part of it, right? So my experience, the reason I kind of brought it up in response to your comment is I now kind of almost have like a divine perspective where it's almost humorous what we as humans choose to do, because we really have the power to choose any leader we want, to have any policy we want. And yet we keep getting stuck in this fight of, do people deserve healthcare? Like, are we still fighting about that? Really? Like, because I think the younger generations don't have a question. We're like, yes, human beings deserve to live and to live well and not to struggle and not to die in the street. So it's very interesting that we're kind of stuck in this place, but I think we can get past it, and it's just a choice. And so when all these horrors are kind of playing one by one rapidly, I'm definitely furious. And I'm sure you saw some of that power come out in the debate. Lawyers, I think, learned how to channel it, and we just kind of pop it.
I tell you, Katie Couric and Don Lemon were in the green room like,
gagged.
They were like,
gagged.
Like to see Katie Couric like do snaps in the green room because we're hearing what's going on stage was hilarious. It's like, I never thought. And it was because what Laura was saying, like she really was eating them alive, because a lot of what they were saying was just like political bullshit.
The sort of the
it was just a lot of
the pivoting and the sort of going in circles and not really saying anything. Lots of words, right?
And then Alex Boris said that everyone on the stage had a super PAC, and Laura was like, I would love to meet my super PAC.
It's not doing a very good job if it's out there.
She was like, wait a minute. No one told me. This is the first time hearing.
Well, that's what happens when people get off their talking points. They say crazy things, and lawyers, we go right in. There was actually a forum earlier that week on Monday with Micah Lasher and me, and he had the first question. It was about the definition of anti-Semitism from the Holocaust Remembrance Organization that New York had adopted, and then Mamdani had kind of struck down. And they were saying, what's your position on this definition? And he was like, I don't want to answer. This divides us more than anything else. And he dodged it. Then it came to me, and I was like, this is the lawyer training. I am ready. And I was like, isn't it a shame when politicians dodge hard questions? And everyone was like, yes. And I was like, lawyers don't get to do that. We literally walk into court to answer these questions. I'm not afraid to take a stand. I don't even care the consequence of taking the stand because I've thought deeply about it, researched it, and I know what I stand for, and I will pay the price for that. And, I saw Jack Schlossberg kind of wiggle woggle on, Israel-Palestine and try to be progressive, but also pro-Israel. And he just flip-flopped and made everyone mad, and he dropped 10 points. And it's like, you can't make everyone happy. And the fact that you don't know that means you're not ready for office. You have to take your stand. You have to know what you're about, and just know that there's a price tag for it. And that's okay. If someone wants a different leader, they will find a different leader, and your time is not now. So I have enjoyed the few opportunities I've had to really jab at these men who have come up there. And when it's just the four of them on stage, no one's throwing any punches. No one's getting into the tough issues. So I'm glad they started inviting the women.
All politically aligned, trying not to piss off anybody. What do you say? I'm so fucking sick of talking about AI, but I do feel like we have to. If I hear AI one more time, I'm gonna.
It's not just the fruit. It's really important.
It's really important. And I know it's come up a lot in this race. It's not just like, what do you think about AI? I'm not like some Silicon Valley tech bro. I do feel like it has been one of the top 3 things that has come up randomly in this New York 12 congressional race.
Why is that?
Take it away, Laura.
Tell us, Laura.
So if it makes you less annoyed, you could say big tech generally, right? Because AI is just one issue, right? We have crypto in there, we have quantum computing, we already have social media, and I have talked about Section 230, the immunity given to big tech companies that allows them to do many things that newspapers cannot do, such as spread misinformation, tailor algorithms to create more political division. And I think we need to get rid of that. And that, I think, would solve a lot of our problems right now. But I think AI is such a big thing because it's replacing people's jobs, right? College students can't get an entry-level job. We're scared for our kids who are falling in love with AIs or being told how to commit suicide or God knows what else is happening. We also have AIs undressing women and harassing them in ways that we have never imagined before. It's the boogeyman that's out there. And Alex Borez did a state law that kind of reined that in. It's the only state, New York is the only state that's really kind of tackled the issue. But they did it because the federal government wasn't. Why is that? Because of all the money going in to deter it. So he did that, and now he has AI money coming in. And when I was on stage, I pointed out that there was 4 different AI consumer protection bills that he alone voted against as this quote unquote AI champion, which really raises questions. And I really believe he's a Trojan horse. I think he was sent to look like a hero when he's not. He's just going to set up a specific AI company, Anthropic, over that of Palantir. And it's just marketing. Anthropic's the less evil. But AI can't be reined in. Like, let's not be fooled. We can say it can, but it can't.
It can't.
We know it. And add quantum computing that's coming in 5 years, we're in trouble. And I think the hardest thing that I've ever said, which did not win me any favors, but I said it and I meant it, was during the UFT, the Teachers Union endorsement. They were asking about AI in education, and I'm a former teacher. And I said, the research is actually showing that more screen time and use of AI is impeding cognitive development. We literally have generations that are less academically successful. This is not okay. And so we have to have moratoriums. I hate to say it. We can't just implement and see what happens. We can't experiment on children. And I don't think they liked that answer. And, here we are. But I mean that answer. AI is not for everywhere and everything. Maybe it shouldn't belong in, for example, wars. We really want to give lethal ability to a technology we can't control and just see what happens. Not me. So I think we can put guardrails around it. I really want to adopt the precautionary principle, which is what we have in Europe, which says you can't put something into the consumer population until you've proven it's safe. So you can put regulations around it. You can have ethical standards. We can have a whole requirement. This is what we do with drugs, right? They have to be approved before they go out. We could do something similar. And that way we find out where it's okay. And we have them investing in research. Does it impede cognitive development? Does it not? And until we have people who are willing to tell corporations that are getting $1 trillion valuations no, we're going to be stuck with whatever the latest innovation is, no matter the consequence to our children.
I hate AI so much. I'll go on the record with that. I fucking hate AI. I'm so sick of it.
Spoken like a lawyer.
I have tried it. I think it's dumb. It is not smarter. I hate it. I've tried using it for like legal briefs or for emotion or whatever. And the tea about my legal briefs and my motion is that they're from me to you. So once I start pumping that into AI, it's not written as me. I like a stylized motion. Her mother was beheaded. AI is not going to say that. Like, and when I put that in, like, help me draft this legal motion or like my asylum argument, I'll say that, but AI will say, respondents' parents suffered extreme hardship. Like it'll say like some sort of garbled,
watered down
word salad. So I don't know. I hate it. I think it's dumb. I don't think it applies to everything. And I think it's overhyped and it's a bubble that's going to burst. Well, and I'll go on the record with that.
Yeah. Judges are kicking it out of the courtroom. People have come in with their AI lawyers and judges are like, get it out. It's not going to happen here.
Good. I had just a conversation with my primary care physician a few months back, and she wanted me to know that they were the doctors were under pressure to use AI for the note taking. And she's a pretty old school doctor. And she was like, I refused. But she wanted me to know that they must tell you that they're using it. And if I find out that they've used it and they haven't told me, I can bring charges up against them. Right. But her worry is, she says, people come to her, she's their physician, and they tell her intimate things about what's going on in their life, things that are going on with their health. And she is deeply uncomfortable with the idea of whatever AI turns into having that information.
Yeah. And it'll hear your voice. And we know AI can mimic voices. Like, I don't want to find out where the end of the story goes. But I'm with you. And a positive example of AI, though, is like breast cancer, the detection. You still need human oversight, right? But using a machine is actually more accurate than humans. So that's a great example where the research is showing it's better. And it doesn't, I think, inherently replace anything. That's
Let's
negative.
invest in that.
Instead of. That's the balance. You know, people act like it's all in, all out. And it's like,
there's a balance to most things, right? And we just have to find the what's going to do no harm or as little as harm as possible.
Absolutely. Yes.
So where are we in this race?
Well, I want to thank you guys for having me on. It's so important that we have new media. We know that traditional media is dying, right? We had monopolies. We can literally, there's like spreadsheets now of like 3 companies that own, or 3 different owners for 50 companies.
And there's about to be another sale.
Merger.
Yeah, about to merger.
Goodness.
That just got approved.
I don't know how Elizabeth Warren is handling this, right? She's been calling for the breaking up monopolies for so long. That's why I backed her for a presidential run back in 2016. It's deeply problematic what is happening with our media. And I've seen a lack of critical thinking about the candidates that are offered, a lack of exploration. One of the things I brought up on the debate stage was a racist cartoon that Michael Lasher helped distribute in white neighborhoods going after Reverend Al Sharpton. And it was a horrific graphic. And we found it because even though it's been talked about once or twice, no one's shown the image. And it was to impede a Latino mayoral candidate. It was meant to have him lose. And so I am very concerned when I see Black and brown communities saying, oh, maybe Mike is the choice. It's like, if it's convenient for him, then sure, he'll show up for you. If it's not, then you're going to be used as fodder. And you should know that about your candidates, who has always stood for the communities, not come only when they need something. So I have tried to be the vocal advocate, and people like you have helped lift me up. And I really appreciate that, giving me this opportunity. I want people to really think as they go to vote for NY-12, who do you want? I have heard from many people, who do they think is going to win? Which is different than who do you want? And we need to start voting who do you want, because we saw this amazing shift with Mamdani versus Cuomo. Cuomo was the old guard. It was the big money. It was the billionaires. It was this ugly attitude of, I will take what I want. No one can stop me. And we won. I love that I door knocked for Mayor Mamdani, and he has yet to choose a candidate. I hope he'll choose me in this race.
He hasn't?
Well, and it might be smart that he doesn't say who he wants to vote for, because he's not super, super loved. It was a 50-50 split in NY-12. He's loved everywhere else, but not NY-12. It's a high Jewish population, and people were, I think, rightly upset with his use of Antifada and things at the beginning. I think he's worked really hard to try to correct missteps and errors that have stoked some anti-Semitism. But I understand people who are very upset. It's maybe one of the quickest questions I get asked on the street is like, Mamdani or Cuomo? And I was like, Mamdani. And people will walk away and storm away. But Cuomo sexually harassed Charlotte Bennett, who is someone who interned for me. And I was the first phone call she made after that incident. And she said, I think I have to sue my boss. I didn't know she worked for Cuomo, but she called me to get a referral, and I gave her one. So I'm never going to vote for that man. I'm so glad he's nowhere in the city from what I can tell, but he thought about entering this race. And some part of me kind of wish he did, so I had someone to punch against, because that was the beauty of the Mamdani race. There was someone to punch against. There was a bad guy. This one, I think everyone is generally a pretty good Democrat, right? And it's different levels of experience. And so why I'm saying pick who you really want to lead. Who is the new voice? Who is saying the things you haven't heard? Who is the person that's going to fight the battles versus look away? And then vote for them. Because when 30% are undecided, that swings an entire race.
It's true.
So don't count anyone out. Take your time. 8 candidates. Just research all of them. It takes a minute.
I actually really love what you're saying about stop thinking so much about who's going to win. Because I have been guilty of thinking this and being like, I could do this, but is my vote wasted, right? But this notion of vote for the person who you really want in the job, vote for the person that you think will do their best. If more of us think that way, the shift that we're hoping will happen, I think will eventually happen. It might take some time, but it's a better way to think about it.
A vote is a message to the establishment of where the current is going, right? And NY-12 really is the district that everyone in the country watches. It's Manhattan. It's where all the new innovation ideas come from. It's where way too much money and power have been consolidated. So even a significant shift like towards a non-establishment candidate says a lot to any establishment candidate that would win to maybe be more progressive than they're inclined to be, which is good. We want a representative who's understanding where the current is going and not just, standing by, for example, Hakeem Jeffries. It absolutely killed me. I didn't have time in the debate to make all the points I wanted, but Hakeem Jeffries has come out saying impeaching Donald Trump is no longer the priority. It's now affordability. And they're related, we can't have someone stealing $1.8 billion from IRS and then pretend like that's not going to affect the taxpayer. So it's related. But the minute that came out, Michael Lasher was in a forum for 92nd Street Y, and he said, it is a fantasy world. It is impossible. There's no world that exists in which we can impeach Donald Trump. And I was shocked. I've listened to him in every debate and I was like, where is this coming from? And then I saw Hakeem Jeffries and I was like, oh, so you have abandoned your principles that you've said in every single forum because someone said it's not a priority. And so you just shifted on a dime. You didn't listen to what the people on the ground said, because if you did, everyone wants him out. Especially after what he did with the Knicks game. I mean, he's gone now.
Oh my God.
She's like, where's your moral compass, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us, Laura. Early voting is happening now if you're listening to this on Thursday or watching it on YouTube. And the election is on Tuesday, June 23rd. So get to the polls. Vote for who you care about.
Laura, where can people find you on social? Why don't you look into the camera and let people know?
So LauraDunnForCongress.com is the home base, and Laura Dunn for Congress is TikTok, it's LinkedIn, Facebook. The only one that's different is, of course, Twitter and X. I'm sorry I'm still on there. It's a political necessity. Laura Dunn, NY-12. But I would love to have you follow, shoot me a message. I actually do respond to everyone who asks me questions because I want you to know who you're voting for and what my values are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
This is Tales from the DMs. We're going to talk about all the weird, wild, freaky, deaky things you send me in my DMs. You email it to briefrecess@exactlyrightmedia.com, or you send them to Mélissa. Whatever you want to do, we're reading it on the show. And it's getting sick and twisted, and I love it.
It sure is.
So, Mélissa, who am I?
What I always say, friends, while Michael is a lawyer, he's not your lawyer, so you probably should find your own. By the way, speaking of that, somebody quoted that to me.
Where?
In Cape May.
I love that.
I know.
I love that.
I know.
Not this show getting traction. Not people liking this show. Not that being
in Cape May, no less.
On my 2026 bingo card. That was not on there, but here we are. You know what? Not many people believed in us.
We believed in us.
Yeah. Be the change you wish to see at the bottom of the Trevi Fountain.
Totally random thing. Did you see my mom commented on?
Magali, she is using T9 words. She's getting
really
in there.
She is. And I respond, I'm like, thanks, Mom. You're welcome.
Oh my God. Okay. The one thing I don't want you guys to send is medical prognoses, because someone sent me a mental illness prognosis.
What do you got?
Telling me I'm bipolar.
Are you?
I don't think so.
Should you ask somebody?
Not a medical professional.
Why? I'm curious though. What is it? What behaviors? Hey, friends, what behaviors?
No, now you're having them do exactly what I don't want.
But I'm curious. I would never have said that about you. So I'm wondering what it is that they're looking at.
I don't know.
And they're like,
he's bipolar. This man's bipolar.
He's bipolar. It's like the person who told me that I was jaundiced.
You're like, I'm actually just black.
I'm just brown.
I'm just a black woman.
That's all that it is. But thank you.
Okay, so this is from the 60 Minutes episode. This is a fun show review. Mike Alvord, 55, says, actually, guys, nobody is watching CBS News or 60 Minutes. CBS is full of partisan activists and not journalists. Did you not think this would catch up to you eventually? No, I didn't. This is the first I thought about it.
He's not talking to you.
He's
talking to CBS. He's talking to CBS.
I was like, wow. I am really partisan, actually, and not a journalist. So it did catch up to me immediately.
No, he's not talking.
Thanks, you know what,
Mike. I don't think that Mike is talking to you. I think he's talking to CBS.
Get a Mike.
I used to watch CBS in the morning every day, and we switched, and I have a family member who works on that show. So, yeah. But you got to do something. You got to stand for something. You got to get scruples from somewhere.
Katie Couric gave me her number. She was in CBS. Who was she? She was
on NBC.
NBC. Okay. Okay.
One day
you'll tell me a Katie Couric story.
Not just a Magley Joel Mélissa story. For whatever reason.
You should just tell me.
Okay. When I decided to have weight loss surgery, I did not want to tell my parents because they were going to be in my ear about it. And then finally, my brother said to me, if you don't tell them, I'm going to tell them.
Did he give you a deadline?
Yeah. So the week of, I show up at my parents' house late at night and my mom is like, what are you doing here? And I was like, nothing.
You're like, I'm on a deadline. Joey gave me.
I said, nothing. Where's Pop? And she was like, he's in the room. And I said, okay. So I went back there and my dad was like half asleep and I was like, hey, he was like, what's the matter? I was like, nothing. I wanted to talk to you and mom. So I turn around to call my mom and she's right here. Like I bumped into her.
Like Alien?
Like right here.
Like Sigourney Weaver and that.
So I go on to say, whatever, I'm going to have weight loss surgery. And they're like, oh my God. And then my dad said to me, Mélissa, it's like Al Roker. And he says, Al Roker, the weatherman on Good Morning America. This is important.
Okay.
And my mom says, Joel. That's my dad's name, Joel. Al Roker. C'est pas Good Morning America. Al Roker is today's show.
And meanwhile, you're like, I'm trying to make an important life announcement.
And when I tell you, this went back and forth for like 3 minutes and I'm sitting here. And my mom is like, Al Roker today's show, Katie Couric, Matt Lauer, and Corey. And then my dad is like, you're right.
You know what? 10 minutes later.
And I was like, anyway.
There was another part of that story though that you haven't told yet, and I want you to say it.
Oh, yeah. Right. No, I'll say it. So one of the things that I really wanted to make sure was that I didn't want them to tell anybody because I wasn't ready to say anything. And I said, I don't want you to tell people, Mom, don't, because my mom will tell her sisters everything. Yeah. Mom, I don't want you to tell anybody. And
this is actually her microphone.
Yeah.
She uses to tell the whole family.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So she was like, no, I'm not going to say anything. And then I was like, all right. And then my dad was very offended.
Yeah.
He was just like, what do you mean? And then my mom went to go do something. And I was like, Dad, I'm not talking to you. Right. I'm talking to Mom. Yeah. Oh, Mommy is something else. Yeah. Because my mom cannot keep a secret.
He was like, oh, yeah.
He was like, oh, for sure.
For sure. You really needed to tell her that. Thank you. He was like, but
it didn't matter because she told everybody anyway. She did. I was really pissed. I'd have to track her down. She was on vacation.
Your dad clocking the tea. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Do you want to read this one from Natalie Castle? It's about Ted, your neighbor. Your neighbor Ted. A lot of people messaged me about your neighbor Ted.
The best thing about it was that Katie sent us a text message. I'll share it with you guys if you want. And she was like, has Ted set fire to the rain lately? Dead. Okay, this is from Natalie Castle 95. You're always having a bad fucking day, Ted, is relatable in that regard. Poor Ted.
Okay, from the Alex Murdaugh murder conviction overturned episode, Cisco says, longtime viewer, first-time commenter, welcome to the DMs. To complicate things more, I have an internal monologue but can't visualize. It's called aphantasia, and when I close my eyes, it feels like talking to someone in a dark room. Wow. That's so cool.
I got a lot of people who were upset with me when we were talking about the people who don't have an internal monologue. Okay. And they wanted me to know that just because you don't have an internal monologue doesn't mean you have a moral compass. And I wasn't sure that's what I was saying.
Well, we were also processing in real time.
Correct. Because it was hard to understand. I'm like, well, if you don't have an inner monologue, what's going on?
Right.
So people were saying that they see images. Yeah. They do other things, but they don't.
They're just not yapping to themselves all day like I am.
I think that is an inner monologue, right? If there's images in your head, I think it's kind of the same thing.
Maybe it's a nuanced kind of spectrum.
I was concerned that people with no inner monologue, that there's nothing going on. And I was wrong, and I'm sorry.
All right. We'll do a quick email question. I'll read number one.
Sorry.
Hi, Bree Free says, love your podcast.
Yes.
Last month, I was called for jury duty at the U.S. District Court for Southern New York. I was not part of the jury, but did spend 3 days in voir dire. The voir dire process involves a lot of waiting around, yes. Forced into a new form of existence without any electronic devices. I noticed that all the female attorneys, almost all of them wore heels. Mm-hmm. I assume most of these women have some comfortable sneakers stashed somewhere in the building, though I acknowledge they're wonderfully loud on those shiny marble floors. Anyway, I found myself wondering why so few female lawyers were in cute, dress, professional flats. Mm-hmm. Are female attorneys still expected to wear high heels in many work situations? Are flats quietly frowned upon?
That's a good question.
I
don't know. I think that...
Tell us about just like professional women attire. From your perspective.
I think it depends. And I think it depends on the environment that you're working in, right? There are some work environments that are just casual. And then there are some that are not as much. So if you work in a really corporate space, I can imagine that you have to get more dressed up. If you don't, then you don't. Yeah. It's more like work casual, right?
Yeah.
I also think... and I'm going to try to work this out because I've talked about this with some friends, is that I find that as somebody who's an older person in the workplace, and I look at my much younger colleagues, and they are not dressed up, right? They're wearing, like, it's not that they look bad. They don't look bad.
Is it my t-shirt that says Daddy's Little Meatball?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that I have been trained to look a certain way when I go to work, right? And it's not good or bad. It's just, but it is something that I've noticed. Like I would never leave the house if my stuff wasn't ironed, right? That's right. And I find that, and this is something that I talk to with KP about all the time. I'm like, what are you doing?
My mom taught me how to iron. Right. Like I had to iron my shirts for when I was a waiter. Mm-hmm. For the legal profession, when we were in law school, women had to wear tights if they were going, and they had like a meeting with all of us because the legal profession is still very conservative. Like when I was working for judges, internships, clerkships, whatever, you were not allowed to step foot in the courtroom if you were not wearing a tie and jacket. And that is still true today. I bring ties and jackets for clients if they don't have them. I don't think I've ever seen a lawyer not in a tie and jacket in a courtroom. And it's almost like going on stage in a costume. So, but I do remember we had like it's called trial advocacy. It's basically where you learn how to do an opening statement in law school, and you're all like practicing. And this like very Southern Louisiana attorney, she came and was an older woman, and she basically explained to the whole class, ladies, you have to wear tights. You cannot wear a skirt or a dress. Doesn't matter how long it is. You must wear tights and heels. So I do think that there is a very conservative wardrobe that lawyers are wearing, A, because of the profession, but B, we're trying to look neutral to a jury. Like I'm not wearing anything crazy. I'm just trying to dress nice and proper in court. Because for me, I'm like, this trial's not about me and my wardrobe. It's about just looking presentable. Like, I don't think I would wear this tie to court.
Okay.
I would wear like a navy suit. If it was a really important hearing. Navy suit, more neutral tie.
Okay. Because I've seen you go to court, come back from court, and I've seen what you're wearing. And you always look great. But I wonder, what do you think the judges might think of the cut of the suit? Because the cut of your suits tends...
They're like a little bit, They're like not baggy.
They're not, and right. And traditionally, it's because it's like, what is a traditional suit?
Yeah, there are different kinds of cuts. I wear like a Soho fit.
Right.
It's called. Yeah.
So do you think that has an impact? That people are looking at you and they're just
I've
like,
never gotten any like feedback on it. But I think as long as you're dressed like presentable for court is usually what we're sort of going for.
So to go back to what this person asked us, what do we think that courts might think about flat shoes? Flat shoes. And I also wonder what they would think about ultra high shoes, like the super sexy stilettos, right? Like, is that frowned upon also?
I don't know.
These are limitations that are placed on women, right? And these are limitations that are placed on women.
There's an episode of Good Wife, episode of The Good Wife, where Alicia was wearing a pantsuit, not a skirt suit, and a judge said something to her. So I do think there are like instances where judges. Like, I can't imagine that was like just for TV. I'm sure that's happened in real life.
When you are in court and there's an attorney who's a woman.
Suit and heels.
Is it a dress suit or is it pantsuit?
Dress.
Always?
Oh, I'm like really focused not on outfits.
I understand. I understand. I
would say for the most part, yes.
Okay.
I don't recall a pantsuit.
I'm going to ask because I have some women in my life who are attorneys and I will ask them. Too. Let's ask and circle back. It's an interesting question, actually. Because
why not flats?
Right. These are things, because there could be a multitude of reasons why you prefer to wear flats.
Now I'm going to get in my head because I have a trial this week. Now I'm like, what the hell am I going to wear? This is Brief Recess. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in court.
Not me.